Well, on our trip through New Mexico, we're here at Chaco Canyon Visitor Center, and I'm pretty excited to be here. So the road into this place is totally wild. I was in an RV, and it's like, yeah, you want to check out what road you're coming into if you're in an RV or low clearance vehicle, because it is a pretty wild dirt road. It's like 13 miles of rough dirt road the one way that I came in. So, and I think that's maybe the only way if you're in an RV. So you might want to keep that in mind if you're traveling. So made it a little later in the day than I was planning on due to that road. So I'm going to try to hit things pretty fast. Hit the visitor center, see the things that they've got inside there, and then I mainly was headed out to get to see the ruins and things because I definitely wanted to see as many of them with the time that I had, because I'm not camping here. They do have a campground, I'll talk about that later, but I'm mainly after the different ruins, which are unbelievable. This is a big site with a lot of different ruins along the canyon here, so I'm really excited about it. It's a pretty short. A lot of they do have, like, we can do like hiking, like backcountry hikes. I'll talk a little bit about that later too. But they've got a lot of like close hikes where you can go up to the ruins close. This one's not far off from the visitor center, so you can hit those, and then you can drive along down the canyon and hit some more. So I mean, as you can see, it's just really, really neat. Getting to stand here and look and imagine, I mean, if you just imagine building it yourself, how much work that would be. It's just unbelievable. And it's really neat. I'm very thankful that they allow you to walk. I mean, you get to walk through the ruins here. Just look at that wall. It just seems to go on and on. The structure, the size is really amazing. And as you can see, you can just go inside, you can walk through. I mean, the doorways here, it's just really, really neat. So there is evidence that they, like these timbers and different things, that they brought them in from very far away, that they had quite the trade system going on here at Chaco. And I hope I'm pronouncing that right. I'm trying. I mean, you can see that there were like multiple stories. It's really amazing. You can kind of get the grandeur and the size here of just like the walls and how tall they were. So the center of Chaco culture, it was created in 1907. Chaco Canyon National Monument became Chaco Canyon Cultural National Historical Park in 1980, and then it was made a World Heritage Site in 1987. So it's got a lot of things going for it, and I think it deserves to have, this is really unique. You don't just get to see places like this all over out here. I mean, obviously there's a lot of ruins spread out. There's different spots. If you hit Aztec over there, that's really neat, and you don't have to go down the dirt road. So if you don't want to like brave a kind of nasty dirt road, then that allows you to see, not the same as here, because obviously each site is unique, but that does allow you to walk through some ruins and see some other things. They also have a great cave that they've restored over there, which is really neat. So you can kind of see what they think it might have looked like, all restored. And of course, the caves seem to be very important to this culture. So that is a really neat thing to see over if you want to catch Aztec ruins. I also have a video on there that you can catch and see. And it just seems to go on and on. You just seem to be able to walk through, the amount of work and people that must have lived here is just really amazing. You think, oh, I've seen it, and then you walk through another room and you're just like, wow, it just keeps going and going. And each one's kind of unique. I mean, I didn't get tired of just seeing what's around the next corner, what's next. It was really fun. I really enjoyed it. So their pets are allowed somewhat in the park, but not here on these close-up ruins. So if you brought your pet, it's going to have to stay in the car. If you're backpacking, they do allow pets, but they have to be on a leash, of course. And if you are like overnight backpacking and hiking, you're going to need to get a free permit that's available at the visitor center or at the trailheads. So like if you want to do one of the more extensive backpacking hikes, you can keep that in mind. They do have a campground here also that does accommodate tents or vehicle camping. It does do RVs. I think 35 foot is the longest RV that they can accommodate here. They do have a dump station for the RV. No firewood is allowed to be collected here. Obviously, they're probably not wanting you to take there's not very much wood out there. And, obviously, they don't want you to be picking up anything that might be a piece of the history here. I mean, and there's no firewood sold in the park. So if you are wanting to have a fire at the campsites, you're going to have to bring that with you. And you'll need to probably make your reservations and call ahead for that kind of things. Also, like the road in here, like you could probably call ahead and ask what kind of shape, due to flooding and stuff, what kind of shape it is in to find out what's going on with it. Because I think it does change depending on the season and work on the road. But I mean, it's just unbelievable. You're just sitting here and you're looking across here and you really kind of wish you could see it all before it had collapsed and things are covered. You're trying to imagine what it might have looked like in its heyday, with all of its walls up, with its roofs on, with its people. So they think this was a big trade route. There's a lot of different roads, they say, that are kind of extending out from this area, going to other villages and other areas and gathering sites and things, which is very interesting. They also think they had a lot of different trade, maybe going down into Mexico and getting different items and things. So they kind of found some neat items here at this park. I think they said like a macaw. I think there was a silver bell. So they obviously, like us, we like to trade. We like to get things from different areas. They did too. And seem to be, go quite a long ways and do those kind of things. So I believe there's around 15 major complexes in this area. So, each one of these, some of them you walk to, there's different parking lots, and so you can catch different runes. Some of them are in better shape than others. As you can see, some of these walls are just unbelievably in great shape. And then others are a lot more broken down, and you going through them, and it's a pile of debris and stuff. So depending on which one you are at, kind of give you a view here a little bit higher. It's hard to get a whole view of the whole place because some of these places are just so massive that they just seem to keep going and going. And as you can see, there's some the rocks here, they've kind of fallen off the cliff and crushed part of where that city might have been. So we have, the erosion of where this kind of fell a little bit on the city here. And they do have a few signs that have different information and things that you can read along the way. A lot of it, though, is you're just walking through it and imagining for yourself what things may have been like and wondering, you know, just hard to fathom with how arid and dry it is now, how you could feed so many people in this area. So I've really enjoyed, we've been traveling through North New Mexico. I hadn't spent much time in this region before, and I've really enjoyed it. It's been beautiful. I'm here in October, and as you can see, that sun is bright, but the weather has been good. Not too hot, cools a little bit down, of course, at night, but really beautiful weather. And of course, since we are in the desert, most of the time you're not going to be catching rains or too many clouds out there. But I'm sure in the summer that it would be extremely hot. And if you've got your pet, you got to remember on these close ones, they're not really allowing dogs. So they'd have to stay. They are allowed at the campgrounds, and they're allowed if you're backpacking on leashes in both places. But like in these ones, I believe do not allow you to take them. And of course, as you can see, it's not, a lot of the places are not super wheelchair accessible. I mean, you could take one here if you're roughing it off-road kind of, but you can't really get inside the ruins and things like that. But you can get up to the parking lots, and some of them are fairly close, so you can still get a nice view of the different ruins. And you know, for me, I had fun. It just kept going and going. But even though it was a lot of, you know, in a way, the same thing over and over again, it's new, it's fun. I just enjoyed walking through each section, seeing the different things. I really did enjoy just seeing it just really is amazing to me. It's just hard to believe how much. I mean, they got this stone carved out, how beautiful it's laid. I mean, I've done some rock work and stuff, and it's hard to get straight walls that last when you're thinking about how old these are and in what really beautiful shape they're in. It's really amazing. And this park is ran by the National Park Service, and there is a fee to be here and to use it. So you'll need to get your park pass at the visitor center. And if you're lucky, and you know, you might get to see some of the wildlife here. Some of the elk herds were amazing. I enjoyed getting to see them and get some photos of them. So it was a beautiful area, a beautiful evening. I made it out there because I was pressing for time, and I wanted to hit back on, since I wasn't staying and camping here, I wanted to get out that dirt road before dark. But I did really enjoy everything I got to see here. Definitely recommend it, although you are going to have to be ready for a rough dirt road that, if you're in a larger vehicle or a smaller vehicle, may cause you some issues. A UPS truck did pass us, just speeding down here. I can only imagine what the boxes look like in the back, but you know, he's probably got to deliver every day, and so he's making this route. So it is kind of fascinating. You hit like the park property and you get a paved road. So you've been on this dirt road, and then you hit park property, you get a paved road out here. So it's kind of an interesting experience all the way along to get into here. You know, you kind of get that rugged kind of feeling of you're in the middle of nowhere to get here. And then you hit and you're like, wow, there's a park building out here. A little visitor center. So just really fun. I like to hit as many of the different ruins as I can. Of course, some of them are a little more famous than others. Some of them, like this one, is so large. It has so many ruins and so many neat areas to explore. And then, of course, you know, you might just stop by and there's one little tower. But each one's unique. Each one's fun. North New Mexico has been beautiful. I've liked the area. It's been very pretty in its own rugged, dry way. Not somewhere I guess that I want to live, being from more southern and east, and being used to so much rain and water, but definitely somewhere that I really enjoy traveling and visiting the area. Definitely would love to come back sometime. Extra perk is I really got to enjoy seeing the beautiful elk and their antlers and getting to be that close to them. Of course, I was in the vehicle, but they were there right along the road, so I really enjoyed that as well. So, being here at these ruins, they almost leave you with more questions. You wish you understood and knew more about the people who lived here and their lives. Did they garden? Did they hunt? Because a lot of the stuff, you get little pieces from the excavating and from the pieces that are left behind. And, the different experts are trying to put pieces together and understand their history and their way of life. But there's nothing like you wishing you just knew how they lived, what they did. They think this area was more like a hub and not necessarily just a place where they would necessarily always live or whatever. But you wonder, how many people did stay here? Was it just more of a trading or ceremonial spot? It seemed to be a very important spot with how big the ruins are, the villages, how many different caves there are, just the amazing amount of structures and how they're made. It is really quite incredible. It's hard to fathom. So they think they began building here around the 800s, and then they think that, it kind of went for about 300 years. And I believe they are not sure why they think they left, whether they were ran out by other tribes or enemy, or, they don't really know why things got left behind. And I guess history is always like that. We always have so many questions. And like I said, I discussed the different trade routes and things that they did, and the different roads that they thought, how many different ones they had coming into here, and the macaws. Kind of wondered, that's kind of a unique bird to think about finding here in this kind of desert area, and cocoa. They thought they had like chocolate. Not necessarily sweetened like we think of chocolate, but the cocoa. And you wonder, did they drink it kind of like a coffee drink, or what they did with that? But it's kind of fascinating to think of the different trading things and different stuff that they had. So if you do decide that you'd like to go on the back country hiking, like I said, there is a free permit, and I believe there's elevation gain from like 6,000 to 200 feet. 6,200 feet in the park. which I would imagine that if you could do some of the backcountry in here, there's probably some beautiful views and really amazing scenery. It would probably be really fun. That is something that I haven't done a lot of, is backcountry backpacking and things. I'd love to do the Grand Canyon sometime. I think that'd be fun to do rim to rim. But I haven't done a lot of it just because there's so much to see that around our beautiful country that I'm always trying to hit as many different highlights and as many different things as I possibly can. I have enjoyed, I like to hit as many high points, the highest point in every state, which has made me do some longer hikes than I normally would have when I was traveling through an area. And I've really enjoyed getting to do that because getting back on some of those longer hikes do give you a totally different percept of the area and the region, and it allows you to get farther away from, the traveled. And so I think that would probably be beautiful here. Of course, I'm, like usual, just trying to hit as many spots, hit the highlights, and enjoy this beautiful country. So I do have a lot of fun looking at that sandstone and how they squared it. And you kind of wonder when you're out here looking how far they had to haul to get their timber for it, because I don't even know where you'd go to get the trees for that and how far they had to go, but I'm assuming it was quite some distance. So I was very happy that the weather has been so beautiful and pleasant, because my friend who's traveling with me was not too happy when I moved to different parking lots and got out without her. She was not happy about it, but the weather was beautiful, so I did not mind taking my time. It was definitely cool enough to be leaving her and enjoying it without having to worry that I had to rush back for her. So if you like this video, just ring the bell, subscribe, ask a question, and definitely make sure and check out some of my other videos all over the United States. I love to travel. I love to see different sites.